June of 1940, just as the final phase of fighting with France is winding down. Hitler visited some of the World War I battlefields, places where he had fought.
And he just went from one place to another like tourists. I've seen some of the pictures at it, and he has that sort of a faraway look.
Das hat ihn damals doch sehr bewegt.
The First World War was such a formative event in Hitler's life. The weird fact is that in 4 years of war, he never made it past the rank that is equivalent basically to private first class. First of all, it's super unusual for a soldier in World War I to have been in combat in 1914 and to still be in combat and still alive in 1918. If anyone did do that, they would virtually as a rule have been promoted up to lieutenant or captain or something like that by the end. The fact that Hitler was not is one of those facts that tells you there must have been something wrong with this man as a soldier.
Hitler hatte nie eine durchgehende Planung, so würde man sagen.
Sometimes he didn't know what to do, but he thought at the right moment something voice will come. Aha. He said himself, mit Nachtwandern in der Sicherheit habe ich meinen Weg gefunden.
It is absolutely bizarre to think that this sort of aimless, drifting, bohemian private could have ended up the conqueror of 1940.
When's the first time you saw him?
Das war an meinem Geburtstag, am 20. April.
Yeah, I see.
Das war so, da war immer eine große Gratulationskur. Und wir Kinder haben als Erste gratuliert, da kam.
In April 1939, Hitler turned 50. The popular perception of Hitler in Germany, and to some extent outside of Germany, is that here is a sensationally successful statesman.
Ist derjenige, der den Anschluss mit Österreich tatsächlich vollzieht. Ist derjenige, der die Aufrüstung vorantreibt.
For Germans to see Hitler make good on his promise about defying the Versailles Treaty, catapulting Germany in a position of power and greatness on the continent, that appealed to almost everyone.
As his successes piled up in the second half of the 1930s, his sense of the grandness of his mission sort of inflated to match, and also his sense of the urgency of the timing. He's in a desperate hurry to start a war.
Hitler's whole purpose in fighting the Second World War was to conquer Eastern Europe and turn it into a colony.
In Hitler's mind, the world was a series of struggles between nations, and a nation either expanded or it died.
The concept of expansion, the concept of acquisition of Lebensraum or living space was part of his program from the get-go.
At the time, there is growing fear in Germany among the generals that Hitler might take them into a war that they would not be able to win.
Hitler äußerte die Absicht, in absehbarster Zeit gegen die Tschechoslowakei militärisch vorzugehen.
War with Czechoslovakia is probably going to bring in France and then probably going to bring in Britain, and they don't want to see their country crushed again.
Mr. Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister. Since he took office, Mr. Chamberlain has never wavered in his determination to establish peace in Europe.
As luck would have it, right at this moment, there's a new Prime Minister in Great Britain who's come into office really aggressively determined to improve relations with Germany.
Chamberlain goes to hear Hitler demand Sudeten German areas of Czechoslovakia.
How did he strike you?
Ein Friedensfanatiker, wie es keinen besseren gab, der alles versuchen wollte, um einen Krieg im Allgemeinen zu vermeiden. Zu sagen ist noch, dass Chamberlain in der krassesten Form bestand auf der Aufrechterhaltung des tschechoslowakischen Staats.
Es ist die letzte territoriale Forderung, die ich in Europa zu stellen habe. Ich habe weiter versichert und ich wiederhole sie, Deutschland es kein territoriales Problem in Europa gibt. Wir wollen gar keine Tschechen.
Germany would be able to take over the border regions of Czechoslovakia called the Sudetenland, where about 3 million ethnic Germans lived, but the rest of Czechoslovakia would remain independent. And for a brief moment, it seemed to a lot of the world that Chamberlain had succeeded in what he was trying to do, that this had averted the threat of war.